Butter is having a moment. In 2024, American consumption per person hit its highest in almost 60 years. Long-standing fears about fat's impact on heart health seem to be dissipating. Today, fat is in, and it is carbohydrates, sugars, and processed foods that are out. But a new scientific study reports that butter eating is associated with an early death. So, is butter really bad for you? Reaching an answer involves understanding that not all fats are alike. At a chemical level, fats can be thought of as chains of carbon atoms. Some are saturated, meaning every carbon atom clings to 2 hydrogen atoms, and others are unsaturated, meaning some carbon atoms bond to only 1 of hydrogen. Those structural differences can dramatically affect how those fats interact with the body. Saturated fats, for example, raise levels of cholesterol, a fatty molecule that gathers in arteries and can contribute to cardiovascular disease. They do this, in part, by partially disabling receptors in the liver, which cause excess cholesterol to be extracted from the bloodstream and dumped into bile. Unsaturated fats, by contrast, actively reduce the levels of cholesterol by activating these same liver receptors. Most of the fat in butter is of the saturated variety. It, therefore, stands to reason that butter should have a negative effect on heart health. Indeed, randomized controlled studies offer good evidence that replacing butter with plant-based oil can reduce cholesterol. There is more bad news for butter lovers. The new study, published on March 6th in JAMA Internal Medicine by authors in Massachusetts and Denmark, relied on data from 3 long-run trials of American medical professionals. For almost 33 years, 220,000 nurses and doctors have been regularly surveyed about their lifestyle, diet, and health. Many have died in this time. The authors found that after controlling for such things as age, sex, diet, and lifestyle, those people who ate the most butter, averaging around 1 tablespoon per day, were 15% more likely to have died during the course of the study than those who avoided the stuff. By contrast, people who consumed the most plant-based oils, such as canola, soybean, or olive oil, all of which have low levels of saturated fat, were 16% less likely to die than those who consumed the least. And, though the study could not show that butter increased the risk of dying from cardiovascular diseases, consuming more plant-based oils did lower that particular risk. Butter eating was, instead, linked to more deaths from cancer. The authors found that replacing 10 grams of butter daily with the same amount of plant-based oil appeared to reduce the cancer mortality risk by 17%. Observational studies like this one are rarely cut and dried, however. George Davey Smith, an epidemiologist at the University of Bristol, points out that there exist other differences in health-related behaviors between the groups. The voracious butter eaters contain twice as many smokers, for example, as the butter avoiders. He argues it is not possible to fully control for such differences, which means some non-dietary factors could also be at play. If you do bin your butter, choose your alternatives wisely. Margarine has less saturated fat than butter, and modern varieties tend to be free of hydrogenated or trans fats, which also negatively affect cholesterol levels. But it has been linked to higher levels of type 2 diabetes. If you want a sure swap, though, olive oil is probably your best bet.